Jesus was not a black man. I saw this well-known preacher on Easter Sunday was saying he was preaching that Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, the death, burial, and resurrection that they preach about was all about the persecution of a black man, and that how Jesus was a black man. And all of this Marxist, fascist nonsense that he was spewing from the pulpit. And I was watching as men stood up in the room and they're shedding tears over this nonsense, and my heart is broken because I'm thinking, man, what you're hearing right now in this moment is not even consistent with the word of God. I know some of you got him hanging on your wall, a black man with locks, but Jesus was not a black man. We know from history and we know from the word of God that Jesus was an ethnic Jew.
The first two sons of Shem, Elam and Asher. Now, Elam and Asher are two very, very, very important pieces to this puzzle. It was the discovery of Elam and Asher that kind of cemented the fact that Israelites not only could possibly be black, but for sure, the line of Shem was black. So Elam started looking into the Elamites, and lo and behold, we find this picture, and this picture's on the walls at Susa in Shushan Palace. Now, if you go to any Bible program app you have on your phone and type in Shushan, Shushan, you will find the references to the Elamites at Shushan Palace. And so when I found this, I was like, okay, this is interesting. These are definitely black people. And so this this solidified for me and early in my journey that, okay, if there's any truth to Israelites being black, this evidence is very, very convincing, because now I don't have to adhere to the modern European teaching that Shem was brown or Middle Eastern or olive looking, because as I said in the part 1, it doesn't make sense that Ham would be the only black brother. If his father wasn't black, it would make sense for his brothers to be black as well. So we know that Ham was black. We know the Cushites were black. And here we find the first son, the descendants of the first son of Shem are depicted as black. And we can see their hair here. We can see their beards, their hair. It looks like Afro hair. It looks like these are supposed to be kinks or naps or whatever you want to call them. That is black people hair. So that was one of the biggest convincers that the line of Shem was definitely dark, just like the line of Ham. Now, Asher is a Shemite, which is interesting because, again, when you start to study some of the culture, you don't get this from the European or the Eurocentric Christian doctrine. They don't teach you that Asher was a Semite. They do all this talking about the Assyrians, and they don't get into Asher really. So we're going to touch on Asher for a few minutes. Let's go ahead and read this from Genesis 10:8-11, and you'll recognize this from part 1 because this is the part dealing with Nimrod the Cushite. And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I told you guys I'm terrible with other languages pronunciation. So out of that land went forth Asher. So Asher came out of a Cushite empire, even though he is a Hebrew or a Shemite. Let me back up. Let me not get ahead of myself. He's a Shemite. We'll come back to the Hebrew thing later. So Asher is a Shemite, or a person from the line of Shem, a descendant of Shem. He came out of the Cushite empire, and he built Nineveh. We're not gonna get into the other two cities, but we're gonna talk about Nineveh right now. So here is a picture of the Assyrians, and as we can see, look at their hair, look at the lips, look at the noses, look at the hair again over here, the beards, the hair, the noses, the lips. These are the Assyrians. This is important because we just saw the Elamites. The Elamites were black, and now we look at the Assyrians and we see that they have black features. So now we have a second son of Shem confirmed to be a dark-skinned people, more than likely. Now, before I go there to the next slide, I just want to point something out. People can go back and forth about all this stuff all day, and this is the reason I love to use European sources. I believe these reliefs right here, this picture is found at the British Museum. I think it's the British Museum in London or something like that. If not, correct me and in the comments and let me know. But when you start to dig a little deeper past the surface stuff, people can argue because this doesn't have any color on it, like, oh, they could have been this or that, but we see the facial features, we see the hair, we see the lips, we see the beards, we see the noses. But when you dig into the Hebrew, the Strong's Concordance was not written by black people. And so when we go to Strong's, we see, what do we see here? Proper name, masculine, Ashkur, or Asher as it is translated. Definition, black and Israelite. Black and Israelite. Proper name, masculine in Judah. Now, we'll come back to that. But again, one more time, black and Israelite.
Jesus was not a black man. We know from history and we know from the word of God that Jesus was an ethnic Jew.
So we have Asher, whose name means black. We see the Assyrians who have black features. We saw Elam, or the Elamites, who are black people. And these people come from the line of Shem. And Shem is the brother of who? Ham. One more time, black and Israelite. Now, Eurocentric Christian doctrine will tell you that all black people came from Ham. But this is not true. And
Jesus was not a black man. I saw it.
D calling